Good evening. So I am feeling a little bit nervous, so if you don't mind, I'm just going to have a little something to settle my nerves. So. I know what you're thinking. No mixer. A little bit left. That'll do it. Now, that was just a little stunt to get your attention. And don't worry, it's not really vodka. It's gin. This is what I've come here to talk to you about. Polyethylene trichloride bottles. Very recyclable. And I am currently a student, an unlikely looking one, I might give you. The last 10 years of my life, I've been working in the waste industry. 10 years before that, I was a dairy farmer in South Norfolk. My time working in the waste industry has given me an insight into what actually happens to the things that we recycle. And I assure you that I am a keen recycler, and what I tell you tonight, I pray does not put you off from recycling. But what we'd like to do, what we'd like to think, that when we put a bottle like this into a recycling bin, that it gets made into another plastic bottle. And we'd like to think that that happens quite close to where we are. We'd like to think it possibly happens in the UK. Unfortunately, this is quite far from the truth. So, I leave here tonight, I put this into a recycling bin on the street outside. From there, it'll be picked up by a refuse collection authority employed by your local council and taken to a commercial facility, a materials recycling facility, where certain bits of very high-tech machinery and groups of very dedicated personnel will be sorting out all the different types of recycling that we put into those bins. Now, at that point, this bottle will be put in with all the other PET bottles, carefully separated out. And at this point, two things will happen. The remit for recycling for most authorities will be almost fulfilled. So that will count as a recycled product. And the recycled product, which will be put into a bale with all the rest of the bottles, will become a global commodity. Now, in the UK, we have facilities for reprocessing plastic. But these facilities don't make more bottles. What they do is take this thermoplastic and they melt it down and they make it into very small little prills, which other companies can then buy to make more PET products. Unfortunately, in the UK, we are undersupplied in facility, so we are only capable of reprocessing 17% of our own PET waste. So for the rest of it, what happens? I said it became a global commodity, worth between as mixed plastics, so this plastic bottle with its label, with its top, which is a different sort of plastic, mixed in with all sorts of other colours of plastic, depending on your drink of choice, put into one big bale will be worth between 30 and 70 pounds a tonne, depending on the time of year or what is happening on the global market. There's another commodity traded on the global market, which is refuse-derived waste, or refuse-derived fuel, I should say, where incinerators burning waste to make electricity used fuel. In the UK, we are undersupplied, so they're just burning the waste, the residual waste that we create, our black bin waste. But on the continent and further around in the world, they're oversupplied in capacity. So they will buy fuel to go into their incinerator. Now, refuse-derived fuel also has the same roundabout ballpark of value as does our mixed bottle recyclate. So it becomes a commodity either to go back back into more PET recycling or more bottles, or to go into fuel to make energy. It's quite unfortunate, quite surprising. Furthermore, in the UK, we take our 17 to 20% of PET recycling, but to make it into something valuable, something that we can make another bottle out of, it will have to go into a grading system where we can just make it into clear plastics, take off the label, acid wash the glue that sticks the label on, remove the lid, remove the collar, and wash out what was in there before. In the UK, the margins on doing this are very small, so we really don't do very much of it. Probably only around about 3% of the bottles that we recycle become another bottle. Everything else either becomes fuel to make energy, or it goes into possibly fabric production, or it goes into insulation production, or maybe, even if you're lucky, go to BMW, Peugeot, or any of the other car manufacturers who are making products from this. Now, you might already have known this. For myself, it always shocks me. When I recycle this, I would like to think that it becomes another plastic bottle, but it doesn't. My speech so far is a little bit depressing, but I don't want you to take away that message with you. What I'd really like you to do is ask some questions. We can all do this. When you recycle your product, when you pay your council tax, when you pay your fees to be at the UEA, you're entitled to ask what happens to the waste that we produce. And if the answer comes back that we recycle it, that's probably just not good enough. You have to ask a little bit more. Make people accountable. Make people give the answers to the questions of where things actually go. This subject, unfortunately, applies to many other waste recycling streams, and I can bore you for hours with those, but I'm not going to anymore tonight. I think everyone has time. Thank you for yours.